Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my July wrap-up where I'm trying to survive filming in this heat that it is right now. I slumped a bit in July, but I somehow ended on, what were we on? 61 books, which I think is pretty good. All due to me managing to audiobook quite a lot. And also I started the first day of July reading like 11 manga because I hadn't read manga for when I was away in June. So I read manga for like all of those books. So it was like 11 manga in one day. So that was a little boost. But even if you cut away those 11, it had been like 50 books. I still did pretty good. I'm actually surprised. I was surprised when I saw that I ended up on such a high number because I felt like I literally stumped for like a whole week. So that's a whole week where I didn't read that much. So I don't know what's going on. But if you're more curious about my reading in June, where I talk maybe a bit more about the books, I did weekly vlog throughout the whole month. In July I meant, not June, which is supposed to be on my channel before this wrap up. So you can check that out. Here I will always go through more quickly to the books, and I'm going to try not to sweat to that because it's hot outside. So let's get started and talk about the 61 books I read in July. Not June. So obviously some that are series, and I did finish quite a lot of different kinds of series in the month as well. I can take together, so hopefully we'll go faster. Because I did read of Call and Communicate quite a lot. Some for the first day in the month, but also throughout, like when I followed my list, there was just a lot of volumes of Call and Communicate. So I ended up reading 6 volumes. I read volume 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. That's 6 volumes. That is 6 books that we can talk about in one go. It follows Komi, who has a struggle with communication and she just wants friends. So the whole series is about her getting 100 friends as she goes to high school. It's very sweet and like slice of lifey with like friend moments, etc. and her development as she is trying to overcome the challenges of not being able to communicate. And it is very, very sweet. However, right now we are in this annoying storyline, which is probably like my least favorite storyline, which I feel like have been going on for so long. It's basically that 2 people have a crush on the same guy and they have like decided to both fight for him, and now like the whole plot is about like them trying to like see who would pick in a way. In a way it was good communication because they still wanted to be friends and like fight for this guy and not let that become between them as friends. But I just think it's so interesting to see them trying to get this guy. I'm just like, can we just have the story be about anything else than this? I just feel like it's just I was going to say very high school, but maybe not. It's just very uninteresting to me, and I just want that storyline to be over so that we can focus on other things in the story I enjoy more. But we just see how it goes. But that is the story so far. It is overall the story I really enjoy. I love the art. I love the idea of the story. I just like found the whole like crushing part a bit boring. So I also read Toilet Bound Hana Cocoon Volume 10 by Heir. This one follows these curses in the school, and Toilet Bound Hana Cocoon is one of them, and then this girl is interacting with the different curses and trying to like, well, not die basically. It's very funny and cute. And I'm very much enjoying it so far. The storyline now is very chaotic and very sad, so I'm very excited to continue. Then I read Freeran Volume 12, which is about this elf that used to go in this party with heroes and they defeated the Demon King, and now we are like many years later where she's kind of traveling with a new party and it's like taking a lot of time, and they meet different things in a way that they're helping, etc. It is very sweet. Basically found family. Love it a lot. Love this volume especially. It was so good. I'm like tearing up thinking about it because I really truly love this volume. And I do have 13 as well. It's really weird because this 12 and 13 came very close together, and then like 14 is nowhere in sight. I don't know what's going on with the release schedule, but I will read this until the end of time, and I really need to finish the anime, which I haven't done yet. Also read Solo Leveling Volume 11, which follows, I always forget his name, Jinwo, who becomes a really strong hunter after being the weakest hunter of humankind, and then it's just him defeating different enemies in different places, and it is just very good. Feels like an amazing game, and this was just quite sad volume actually, and I'm very excited to continue to the next one, which has now since been released. Then I started a new manga series, which is Blood on the Tracks Volume 1 by Shuso Oshimi. This is because I finished another one by Shuso Oshimi, so I can start his next series. I don't really know what this is about yet. I only read this one volume obviously, but it's about his mother, and she has a child and she's quite obsessed with him, and is very like, I don't even know if you can call her overprotective, but she's very like intense in his life, and she seems a bit unstable. So we just see how the story develops. I have read 2 other series by them and they never go where you think they were gonna go. So I am curious to see what's gonna happen. Then we have Young of the Dawn Volume 3, which follows this princess that loses her kingdom and her father is killed, and now she's on a journey with these hot dudes. And I do assume that eventually we will try to reclaim her kingdom, but right now she's just like getting her bearings after these traumatizing things has happened, and so far it's very, very fun. I know also there's a billion volumes of this, so I have committed. Then we have Oshinoko Volume 9, which follows this known people like pop stars and actors, and then they're trying to solve this murder. In a way, it is very much about that, but not about that. It's actually very annoying, and I'm very excited for the series to end because I kind of lost interest a while ago, but here I am. We then have Love is a War Volume 8, which is about the student council president and the vice student council president, and then they are in love with each other but don't want to admit it. So there's like all these weird like things they're trying to avoid admitting it, and then also like these competitions to make the other one admit it, and it's just the funniest thing and I love it so much, and I'm so excited to continue. Then we have the first novel here, which is Hearts That Cut by Kika Hatsupolo. This one is on audio. I read it and I started it a month before, so I was just finishing it up, and this is a sequel and the final book in a duology with Hearts That Bind, which is a Greek mythology inspired fantasy YA duology. And we have my main character who is one of the descendants of like the Fates, and she can cut people's threads between people. So you can see them and cut them, and then like they will like lose the connection to that object. She also has known her whole life who her soulmate is, which is this dude that she now needs to work with to solve these murders that are happening in the underworld. And then the different people are like descendants of different like creatures or gods in like the Greek mythology. And I think like the world was really, really cool, how it was like explored and developed, etc. There was some really cool plot twists in there. I really cheered for this romance, while I usually don't care that much in YA fantasy. So I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this one. My problem with this was initially the fact that the ending was very rushed. It's a very short book, and I felt like we just solved everything like in the end, and I wanted us to settle more in the story and like see more of how it ended. However, I would love to see more in this world, and not necessarily with the main characters as their stories may be finished, but I would love to see more from this author and maybe set in the same world. I think that the world was great, and I thought it was a really fun time overall, and I gave it a 4. Then I finished another duology. I read both Passenger and Wayfarer by Alexander Bracken. These formed the piles on my floor of things I wanted on haul, which was my project throughout of July and will be my project in August as well. We can travel in time, and then we meet this dude and we're supposed to love each other, and it's like drama stuff, and I just didn't care. I found myself going out of the story in like chapter 2, and I can't believe I read the whole thing, but it was just not for me at all. I didn't find it engaging or interesting, and I didn't really have a good time. And I don't even remember when I read it. It's 1 or 2 maybe, and I've definitely been hauling them. I also read another one of this author which I didn't enjoy at all. I do have The Darkest Minds, but now I have very doubts in me if I enjoy it. I actually read 2 other books by this author, I remember now, and I did not like either of them. So there's that. I read the Lore and the one when she holds a sword, but I don't remember what it's called anymore in this moment. But yeah, I didn't enjoy this either, and I might have enjoyed it more if I read them when I actually got them, but no, goodbye. I then read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 8, which was the next one I needed to read, and in this one we are like a apprentice witch, is that what it's called? Apprentice. We're learning magic, etc. We're getting fans. It's very, very cute and wholesome and very, very fun. Then I finished all of the Sisters of the series, which is books based on like known fairy tales. The first one was Sleeping Beauty, but I already read that and that was in my pile, so I finished the rest of the series so I could feel okay with finishing that series and then hauling it. I read Glass Slippers, which was a Cinderella retelling. Very much enjoyed this. It's usually about like, for example, in this one, Cinderella has a sister, and then like it's about their story after like the happily ever after. I read The Piper's Promise. This one I didn't care that much for because it was I don't even know, something Piper's retelling, and I never even read that and I don't really care for it, so I didn't really care much for this either. I also read The Last Rose, which was obviously Beauty and the Beast retelling, and this one I thought I would love them more because I love Beauty and the Beast, but it was just an okay retelling. I also then read Braided, which was a Rapunzel retelling. This one I enjoyed so much, and I really loved the sister relationship in this one, and we had dragons, so that was a good time. And the last one was Sea Swept, which was obviously a Little Mermaid retelling, and the final one in the series. Didn't care that much for this one because I felt like when you have read the conflict between mer people and humans like 14 times in different mermaid books, you kind of get tired of the whole conflict. So I was just, I don't care. But I enjoyed some of them more than others, but I overall think it was a like fun, really great series that you can have fun with, especially if I've been in the target group of the series. But yeah, I felt fine with the whole thing, and like 3 overall for the series. I also listened to A Treachery of Swans by A.B. Poranek. This one follows this girl that has been manipulated by her father all her life, and she's sent into this mission to dress up as the girls she likes to marry the prince, so they will bring out this magical object so her father can bring magic back. And then she is like met with the past again, but she used to interact with these people before, but then like they left, and she's just like, oh my god, who am I really loyal to in a way? It is a bit of like a Fink Swan Princess retelling in here, but it's not like a huge part of the story. I did think parts of it fine. It was queer, obviously, so I enjoyed that. And I just think it was just very predictable. It didn't add anything that I felt was like, oh my god, I absolutely completely love this story. Like, the writing was fine, the characters were fine, it was a fine, okay book, but I didn't hate it either, and I wasn't like super duper bored with it. I had some good moments and some like, I wouldn't exactly call it plot twist, with some surprises, but overall I was just like, yeah, it was fine, and I gave it a 3. However, it was weird in the end because it seemed like we were getting a sequel, and then it felt like we added a last chapter, so we didn't need a sequel, and I was just like, then what was the point of the ending? I thought that was really weird. Then Erica and I finished the audio of Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second one in the 4th trilogy, the first trilogy in the Realm of Elden Rings, and this is my favorite so far because this was a reread for me. We follow Fitz, who is the bastard of the king in waiting, and him growing up and then becoming the assassin to the royal family, and it's just so good. This one, it hurts me, but it's so good. It has so cool magic and system, and just like the characters, like this deep into the characters and their developments, and like the relationships and the politics and the world, and everything just feels so good. It is such a well-written, thought-through series. I absolutely love it. And I obviously gave it a 5 because this is one of my favorite books of all time. Rereading this was great, and hopefully we will read the next one before it's been like 2.5 years since the last one. But it was so good to be back, and I really need to finish the whole thing. Then we read Rouge by Mona Awad. I'm saying we because it was about to read in my Patreon. I didn't really enjoy this that much. It's about this girl who lost a mother, and then she goes back to, I guess, like fix up after her mother, and then weird things start happening. It seems like her mother was like, I would almost call it a cult, but I honestly don't know what's real or not. It was very weird, very high. I thought Bunny was super weird as well, obviously, because it's the same author as Bunny. But just this took weirdness to another level. I do think there was supposed to be some commentary in there for like the beauty stuff or something, but I just didn't find it enjoyable. And I ended up giving it a 2 because like I honestly didn't understand what's going on. And either the book is too smart for me, or it's written so much up in the air that you're not even supposed to know what it means. But I didn't have overall a good time because I completely lost the plot. Then we also listened to Every Heart a Dog Way, which is the first in Wayward Children, which I was supposed to listen in June, but I was a bit late, so I listened to it in July, and then as well as Down on the Sticks and Bones, which was supposed to be read in July. And the live show for this is today in my Patreon, because we were reading all of the series in my Patreon. Wayward Children follows a world, our world, where kids come back from magical worlds. So they found their perfect world and come back to our world and need to deal with the fact that they are in our sucky world again. And therefore, like, they go to this school where like everyone is in the same situation, and most people just want their doors to open again. It's very much about like doors and finding home and magicalness. So every second book in the series is like, this one is set in the school, and this one is set in a world, and then the next one is set in the school again. And then like it's about like different characters in each book, but like we see all characters again as well. It is one of my favorites. At least like the first ones are so good. I gave this 5 upon reread, but this is the 3rd time I read this, and this is the 2nd time I read this, and I gave this 5 while the first time I gave it a 4. Absolutely love them so much. This one murder starts happening. This one also murder starts happening for that regard, but I absolutely love them. I love the world that Shannon McCryer has written. It's so cool with different types of characters and different types of worlds. So love it a lot. I'm very excited to be rereading. Then Eric and I listened to 5000 Nights of Obsession by Driette honest. So we listen to like dark romances because we think it's funny. This one wasn't funny because it took itself too seriously. We have this woman that meets this dude, and then they met before, so we do get a flashback of like how they met. But she's now in the future like married, but he wants her and he takes her with no regard for anything else. So it's a lot like obviously weird, questionable consent overall, but overall their relationship was so toxic, and I didn't get like we were supposed to cheer for them. Not cheer for them actually, I don't even know. But then she had this husband that was super great. So I'm just like, how am I supposed to cheer for this new romance when her husband is great? It was just so weird. And it was just a weird build-up of all. And then it took in really serious topics, like even more serious topics than we obviously have do with consent and stuff. But it's like that is on purpose in a lot of dark romances. I just mean like other outside things that are interesting to talk about and think about. But because we're in this setting, I just couldn't take it seriously. And then it was just really, really long and it just never ended. And I just think it was way too serious to be about all these things, even though obviously it is serious, but I'm there to be entertained and laugh at shitty romance. And it was shitty, but then like it was trying to be too serious in a way. So I feel like I didn't have a good time with this, even though we definitely read much worse books than this, but I wasn't even entertained. So I don't know what I was doing, but we read a weird toxic romance and it was weird. And that was a really bad explanation of it, but whatever. Then my other audiobook for myself was The Nightmare Prince by Molly X. Chang. This is about a girl that was growing up thinking that she was supposed to be the empress because she was engaged to the prince, since she has this phoenix mark on her hand that also she can see the future with. And then there was this prophecy that the girl with the phoenix mark would be the greatest empress and make the dude the greatest emperor of all time. So they were engaged since she was a kid, but she's never felt free, etc. So she wants to be free and not marry this dude. And I thought that was going to be the whole plot of the book, but apparently there was much more to it. I think that the book had many layers, and I enjoyed that because like we do kind of break out of this a bit, even though it is overall about that theme, but we do go other places as well. And I just also torn between this vampire prince as well. And I do think that I liked our main character and her decisions and like how the story went, etc. because war do come and it is very serious. I do, however, also think that some of the themes in this war and like what some of these characters did is kind of forgivable. And I don't know if there's coming more in the series, but just the way that I don't know if I felt like the story handled those like unforgivable things in like the mature manner I wanted it to be, because it was always a very mature book to be a YA. But then we come to like very like series, for example, like war crimes, and I wanted to be able to carry those topics seriously as well, and just felt like it wasn't able to. I felt like there were still layers of forgiveness, or like not necessarily forgiveness, but it just wasn't deep enough for me to that regard. But I do think that the story went beyond what I thought it would handle, and I thought that was cool, and I enjoyed a lot of parts of it. So I did end up giving it a 3. We're unsure if there is more coming, because I felt like we ended things, but then I also felt like there were things that wasn't completely ended as well, so I'm very unsure. Then I listened to a lot of audiobooks in the war here. Here I was lumping, but I listened to With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This is the newest one by the author, and it does follow this woman that wants revenge on all these people that wronged her father and made her whole family basically die. And she traps them on this like train to make them confess, but then murder starts happening, and we're trying to solve that, obviously. I did like the atmosphere of like being trapped on this train and like this plan she had, but I struggle a bit with the fact that people kept dying. It was just like, you're the murderer, no, we have 14 murderers, no, you're the brother of the engaged person, blah 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 blah. And it was just like trying to be so overly complicated that it lost my interest a bit. So it went very like ups and downs for me, but I still enjoyed parts of it as well. So I ended up giving like 2.5 up to 3. Then I read Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I reread this because I wanted to, and I'm planning to reread the rest of the series as well. I don't even know what to tell you, because like, it's Twilight. I don't even need to tell you the plot. I know it's trash. It was actually a really good audiobook experience. That's what I got to say. I then listened to Finna and Defect by Nino Kipri. This first one is about these two people that has broken up, and then they're thrown into this different parallel universes because they need to look for this person that went missing in the store. They are both store workers, and it's very much about like capitalism and like what they make their employees do, etc. And then they need to also maybe deal with the fact that they broke up. This is 2 very short books. The next one is about this other person working in a different store in another universe, and he finds out things happening in the store as well. So it's very much like commentary of like how people are being treated in the industry. It was funny, it was cool, it was diverse. I had a really good time with both of them. I kind of thought that we would get more because like I thought that we didn't solve certain things in the first one with like especially their relationship, etc. But I'm also fine with it just being like a bit open-ended because you kind of imagine where we'll go as well. But I can also see the author going back and explore more universes because it's a whole universe out there. But yeah, I enjoyed them both and I gave them both 4. In the middle of my video, I did find Comic and Communicate volume 20 as well. Apparently I didn't read volume 19 but volume 20, so here is another one. Ambassa by Chosen of the Wolf by C.A. Clark was the next one I listened to with Erica. This is obviously a League of Legends novel, so where the character Ambassa that was introduced in Arcane, the animation series. And obviously we love League of Legends, we love Ruination, we had a good time on that. Love that and gave it 5. So I hope to love this as much, but this was so boring. I was so disappointed with it being so boring as well because I was very excited for it. And I love Ambassa as a character, I love the world, and obviously I was excited to see what other people would be dragged into this as well. And it was just so boring. It's about her like taking over like her house again, but I just didn't get how she lost it in the first place. I felt like it's so easy and weird, and then it's just all about that, and I was just like snoozing through it at all because I didn't feel like while we were at war and there was like politics, etc., I was just written in such a way that was so boring. And I was just so bored, and I can't believe I was so bored throughout this. I give it a 3 for the love of the world, etc., but I honestly feel like the story wasn't good. Then I read The Devil Aspect by Craig Russell. This one follows this psychiatrist that is going to start in this like psychiatric hospital, not hospital but kind of like a home where there live like 6 people that did like unspeakable things, while at the same time there are murders happening that I'm hoping they can use like the way they can read these people in the hospital to find a murder that's happening in the same city. Then we like have like interviews with the different patients and we find like what terrible things they're done and if they're crazy or not, because they all claim to be inhabited by the devil, which is why it's called The Devil Aspect. And we have like this setting with these interviews. Is very gruesome and terrible. At the same time, we have these also murders happening. So there's these 2 storylines going on at the same time. I'm as surprised to you when I say that I love this. At first, I was just like, what is going on? I was trying to settle in the story, like trying to figure out like where is this going? And it was just so good. For me, it was like a perfect combo of like not necessarily being scary, but being creepy, having a really good plot twist. At the same time, I was just like, I felt myself being so immersed in this story and wanting to see where it will go because it was honestly very surprising. War is also brewing on the horizon with Hitler coming and all that and ruining shit. That also do have an effect on the story. They don't just talk about it for no reason in a way. And then it was just very good. I absolutely loved it. I didn't think I would love it. I would talk about it more, but obviously spoilers. So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 and I rounded up to 5 stars, which is honestly as surprising to me as it is to anyone because I never thought that this would happen. But this was a good machine pick on my Patreon and Aslak finally scored because I have not liked any of her other picks. But this one I loved, so applause. Then I read Silverborn by Jessica Townsend, which is the 4th book in Morgan Crow, or what's it called? Nevermore. And we have waited 100 years for this. I read it, I borrowed it in the library because it's not in the height I want to match my others in the series that I have. And I'm so annoyed because I cannot decide if it is because I didn't like the book or if it's because it's been so long since I read the others. But it's not that long, and I felt like I remember the others very well. But then when I was reading this, I had no idea who anyone was. I felt like we ended in a very like interesting place in the last one, and I felt like I saw no effect of that in this one, and I just didn't understand what was going on. We kind of have like this murder mystery in this one, and I just felt so off from like the rest of the series. So either I just didn't like this installment at all, or it's because it's been so long since I read the last one. So what I now decided is that whenever the next book is coming, the 5th one, which is probably be in like 6 years, I might just reread all of them and then read like the last one, or like I will probably buy it when again it comes in the height I want, and maybe wait until all out because I want to read them. But I also like to read sometimes series when they come out at once because like that's also nice sometimes. I was like so confused and I was very surprised by that. So yeah, I ended up giving it a 3 because I do overall like the world, so we shall see. I then read a whole series for my piles, which obviously I hadn't done at this point that much progress in because I was slumping so hard. And then I listened to a lot of audiobooks, which wasn't books in my piles. So at this point, I hadn't barely finished anything there. And that is probably why I need to do it in August as well. But I did finish all of this series, which is called Seros. So it consists of Seros, Nexus and Swarm. I do believe Nexus is the last one actually. And this one I bought many years ago because it was Scott Roosevelt, who also wrote Uglies, which was one of my faves. And this one is about people with superpowers, and then they are trying to survive and fight other people with powers, etc. And it just wasn't interesting. I read Renegades by Marissa Rayer last month when I was on holiday to read that for my pals as well. And while I'm also enjoying that, it is like, it was more entertaining and had like, it was better written and like had more engaging characters that I care more for. This one just had nothing in it that I was engaged in, and I was very bored, and I'm kind of glad that I'm getting rid of it and it's not taking space anymore. I do believe other teens could have had fun with this at the time, but for me it was just like nothing, so goodbye. And also read the next one, in Jujutsu Kaisen, Volume 25. These certain events I've been waiting to happen, and I almost missed it. I was so confused. I overall just feel a bit like average on the series, while I think it's super hyped and I enjoy a lot of parts of it. I'm also just generally confused, so I think that's a bit annoying. Might reread everything in a binge in the future, but I read it. Then I listened to Bonesmith by Nikki Paraprato. This is the sequel to Bonesmith. I had to think for a long time. I think it's called Bonesmith. And this one follows this girl that is like a bone master, etc. And then she's exiled to like the border, and she meets this bonesmith after they're on the run because people want to kill them. They are like, their houses is like don't like each other because he's not a bonesmith, he is an ironsmith, that's called, and they don't like each other. And then there's like plots happening, and there's a lot of like summoning of the dead, etc., and bones and all of that. It was very fun. I like the dynamics between the three main characters because we also have a prince we're following that they also want to get rid of. And then I just like the relationship, I like the plot twist, I really like the magic and the world building, etc. It's like with Threads That Bind, this was like a fun wide duology that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I find it very hard to find the ones I like recently, but this one was fun. However, I don't own it and I don't feel like I need to own it, but I had a good time with the second and first book. Yay. And I gave it a 4. Then I finished another book in my past, which was We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. This is like a comments that's coming, asteroid, and that's gonna kill them. And I read another book like this, which was much better. This one was quite boring, and I didn't care for these characters at all. And I owned this for many years, but now I'm not gonna own it anymore. But at least I read something from my piles, but I did not enjoy myself. The next audio, me and Erica did so many audios this month that Erica and I read was Stolen Heir by Holly Black. It's actually really fun because we've been in a kind of slump for a long time, but here we are. This is the first one, obviously, in the next in the Folk of Heir or Alfheim things, and it follows another character, and it's set a few years after Corporate series. So I was a bit excited for it because I do genuinely like that trilogy a lot, and I was excited to see like what more can we do in this world. And it was so extremely boring. Nothing happened. It was like literally nothing. I mean, Erica was like shocked because like the Corporate is so fun and full of drama and full of all things. But like the characters here were just like, we didn't care for them. The plot, we didn't care for it. Even though we could see characters from like the other books, it was just like snooze fest. I think I gave it a 2 to be nice, and Erica gave it a 1. And I'm so shocked that we didn't like it that much because it was so boring. And I was so shocked that it was so boring, honestly, because I obviously expected to at least like it, but the fact that it gave absolutely nothing, I'm shocked. But I am curious to see what the second book in that series will bring. Not that I care in the slightest, but let's go. Then I finished Wrath by John Gwynne, which is obviously the fourth in the Faithful and the Fallen, which is for Catch Up Book Club, which we already had a live show for. This was the final in this series, but I know we're obviously reading the next one as well. And it was such a good time. The first time I read it, I had completely lost interest and like didn't care for the characters or anything. Here I was truly enjoying the moments. While my main problem with the series is that I feel like it is very predictable. We go straight forward in a line and bam bam. Like the evil people, they're gonna die and they are evil. There's like no layers to it and nuance that I'm missing. And like the nice guys, they will win. Yeah, obviously you expect some of the nice guys to die, but even when they did, it was very like obvious and a bit like, oh, okay. So I was missing more to it that made it like shocking, and I felt like we, for example, didn't unravel more things in the world. Like for example, in a Sanderson book, you would unravel more in the world as we go. Like there's always more secrets. Well, here was just like, this is what you're getting, goodbye. However, I did still enjoy it and enjoy the characters, etc., but it's not like a favorite, and I ended up giving this one a 4. But I am very excited to read the next ones because obviously I haven't read those at all, so I am curious to see of how the author can then expand the world in those. Then I read another duology from my pile, very proud of me, which is Flawed and Perfect by Cecilia Aran. This one is a YA dystopia series where if you do like a crime, you are like marked with like the F because you are flawed, and then a main character helps a flawed person, which is illegal, and then she gets branded and then she has a new life as a flawed. I do think that what I was missing initially from the first get-go in the beginning of the story was like why she was suddenly helping the flawed. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have, because obviously that was the right thing to do, but it was just like she was living this nice life. She's been living that all her life. Why did she suddenly decide to help someone on a random day? And I just felt like we was missing some like her questioning the system before this. It was just like boom, and then her whole life was changed. I did like that the story had like a supportive family. That was my favorite part of the story, and I did like think it had like an interesting concept. It was basically racism, and then we obviously want to go against the system pretty obviously in a YA dystopia series. So it goes very much where you think it will go. The romance, didn't care for it at all, but I like the family aspects to it, and I do think that obviously it's a commentary as everything else, and obviously it was giving a, I guess, good message in theory, but like it is a nice book in theory as well, but I am gonna get rid of them. And it's not like I felt like it gave me more to read them, but maybe I would have enjoyed them more if I read them a couple of years ago when I was more into YA dystopians. But yeah, it was fine. I gave the first one a 3, I think, and the second one a 2 because it was just very much nothing and didn't give more that it was already giving. Then I read Rouge, the graphic novel, which was the next one I did to read. This is volume 7, or part 3, which is A Crisis of Both Worlds, volume 1. Love these characters, so much nostalgia, very excited to read through them all, even though they canceled the release of the series and we're never getting the rest. Yay! Then Erica and I listened to another audio, which was Don't Stop by Laurel BL. This one was a very dark romance where like this girl was hitchhiking and then this dude becomes obsessed with her, and then they have very adventure together. Where they start killing people, etc. There is dead penises involved in their sex, and that's all I can say. It was a very effed up. It was very weird. Me and Erica was laughing our ass off. It was hilarious because obviously it is absolutely terrible. We don't support anything that was happening in this book, and it didn't even make sense of what was happening in this book. But it was absolutely hilarious because it was just so on the top, and there was like sound effects in the audio with like moaning and doors and everything. We were dying. It was a great entertainment time. It was a terrible book and would not recommend to anyone, but reading it and listening to it with your friend and laughing your ass off, that is a good time. And that is what I want when I read dark romance, apparently. It needs to be so shit that it is fun, and that was what this was. But do not read it because it's absolutely terrible and a bit nauseous, but oh my god, it was entertaining. Then I finished another YA trilogy, which was King of Fools and Queen of Waltz by Amanda Foody. I have the first one, Ace of Spades. Didn't enjoy that when I read it. Didn't enjoy these either. It's about this other world, me trying to get control or whatever. I didn't even care. I didn't care when I read the first one because I thought I would love that, but then I was just reading it and would be like, ew. And then it's been so many years, and then I finished it now, and it was still ew, and I didn't care for the characters, and I didn't care for a single thing. And again, I wrote a 1, I think, and I'm very happy to have not owned these and only own the first one that I can get rid of, but at least I finished the series. Woo! Look, as we got further into the month here, you can clearly see me like picking up the reading again after a lot of the audiobooks in a row. But here is The Storm by Virginia Bergen. This is a sequel to The Rain, which is another YA dystopia trilogy. Not trilogy, duology. And then here The Rain is dangerous, and then you die if you get into it. The first one was really weird because we have a really immature, weird main character. People hate it, and I didn't particularly like her either, but it had like a certain atmosphere where she's very naive and needs to go into this dangerous world to survive, kind of. Here, I didn't get it because I was just like, where's our main character? Where is the story? I felt like a completely different book, and we went to, I was just like, where's the part with the rain? I don't even know. Maybe it was just me not keeping up, but I didn't like this at all, and I gave it a 1, and goodbye to both of them. Then I read My Dress Up Darling volume 13. I actually like this more than I've been liking the volumes in a while, and it was actually a bit cute. The next volume is the last one, which I am like, oh my god, it is finished. I feel like I've been reading it for so many years, and it's really weird. But yeah, it is about like these two people. One girl is cosplaying, he's making the costumes, and it is quite cute actually. So I'm curious to see how the last one will wrap the story. Then we have The Call by Peter O'Gillen. And I also read The Invasion by the same author, which I listened to these on audio because I didn't have any audio to listen to. So I started listening to the piles as well, so they will go faster. So this one is the every kid in the country get like hunted down for like 3 minutes by the Shida, and then they die. But then they start like these schools where they train up for this like moment so they can survive, so they can bring forth, I was gonna say, more generations to be traumatized. And so they go to these schools to try to train, and then like we have the moments where they die or not. And then I didn't really care for the characters. I didn't like give a lot of like things that I cared for. And I did think like the concept, etc., was cool, and it was a bit exciting and interesting to like learn about how this world worked. But overall, I just didn't feel like it didn't give me more I could sink my teeth into. Even when I was listening to audio, which I feel like lately has been better for me than a lot of other things, I just wasn't engaged, and I was just like, wow, this is kind of boring as well. So I gave the first, I gave it 2.5 maybe, and then the second a 2. And I felt like even after all that, did we solve anything? I have no idea. So I feel a bit like, whatever. It is going, if you didn't get that. Then I finished another YA dystopian trilogy. So I have Nemesis by Brandon Rage. I already read that and I own that, but I didn't own the sequels, which is Genesis. And then I had to listen to audiobook of Crystallisis because I could only get it on audio and not ebook, which is these kids that they are in a really weird situation, and it's kind of maybe experiments. I don't even remember what's a plot twist anymore. There's so many plot twists and secrets upon secrets and people dying and not dying that I'm just like, I'm giving up of what is a spoiler or not. It is very much Maze Runner. It's basically Maze Runner but a different font. And I didn't particularly like Maze Runner that much either, which is why I unhauled them. This one is basically just like a copy-paste of Maze Runner but different characters. It's plot twists. They're trying to survive in different settings. You think it's over, it's not over. And it goes on and on and on and then never ends. I didn't really like it. I thought I would like it when I first like started the first one. And I was just like, what is this? And then the second one was just very much like, more, what is this? And then the third book, when you think it's finally coming out, no. So, getting rid of the first one, but I did finish the trilogy once again. Then we have another YA dystopia. I don't know why there was so much dystopia in a row, but okay. We had Xanca's Empire by Kyla Olsen. I got this in awkward ones. And here we're trying to survive a jungle, and then we are surviving. It is a standalone. Oh my god, I was so scared it was a series. I have to read another trilogy because at this point I was a bit tired of it. We survived. It was fine. Like, I didn't hate it or anything. I just feel like there wasn't anything in it that kept me very engaged. I will get rid of it. I wasn't super impressed. I wasn't super bored. I just felt a bit whatever about the whole thing. And I gave it a 2, I think. So that was all I had. Then we have Kids of Appetite by David Arnold. We went from YA dystopia to YA contemporary, which is a genre that was very hyped. And then we have Quirky Teens, and she's in the interrogation room with the police, and we're trying to find out like, what happened and when to go back 8 days. I didn't care. I didn't care for these characters. I don't care for quirky teens anymore. And I read another book by the author, which I read years ago, and I felt fine about that other one as well. But this one, I was just like, I don't care about a single thing. So give this one a 2, and I'm definitely getting rid of this and the other one, which I gave a 3 at the time anyway. We are soon nearing the end. Oh my god. So we have If I Stay by Gail Foreman. This is about a teen that is, again, YA contemporary. She's in an accident, and then she can see everything that's happening when she's in a coma. And then she needs to decide if she wants to stay or go because her whole family died in this accident. And it's very sad, actually. And it's very much like her listening to people talk to her in her unconscious body. And then like you go flashback to how like these people, what they mean to her, etc. I did think it was a nice balance. I did think it was well written. I actually cared for the story. I felt myself being like touched, which is, wow, I have emotions after reading all this shit. I have emotions, wow. Live for love, wow, very dramatic. But I never watched the movie. I kind of want to watch it now. I liked it. Fine. And I felt emotions in it. So I gave it a 3, which is better than you can say for a lot of this. But it wasn't like a favorite would stay for me forever book. I have since read the sequel, which will be next month's wrap up. But it's overall just sad. So that's what I got to say. Last thing I read in a month was Takopi's Original Sin by Tyson 5 that Erica got for me, so I read it at once. This is the collection of the 2 volumes that is the manga. This one follows this alien that comes from space that is trying to make this person happy, that is being severely bullied and suicidal, and it's very many dark themes in it. And then like this alien is very like naive. The alien doesn't understand that she's being bullied. Like it's just like, oh, they're just fighting. And it's very like a naive piece of culture that gives like a humoristic and light tone to the story, but it follows a very dark themes, and it goes even darker than that after a while. And there's many layers to the story than you think. There's kind of like this twist in there that is a bit, I was just like, what just happened? I was very tired when I read it as well. So I had to go back and be like, what did that actually mean? So I did think that that was an interesting take on the story as well. But I don't want to tell you what it is, obviously. I thought that it would be more terrible than it was. Like, I thought I would be crying my eyes out. I wasn't doing that. I did thoroughly enjoy it. I want to see the anime a lot because I think it's only like 7 episodes. And I do think that it would be even more heartbreaking to watch it. I did overall really, really enjoy it. And I did enjoy overall like the overall story. Even though it's very, very dark. But it was good. And that is how I ended the month. I went faster than I thought because we could take so many together because I did a lot of seriousness in general, which I love. And that is all the books I had to talk to you about for July. I'm about to say June every single time. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had a good reading month. Leave a octopus emoji down below if you enjoyed this. And if you want to tell me what your favorite books in July was, do that. And you should see me soon. Bye!